Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. If the heart of a camera is its sensor, then the soul is its lens. The choice of a lens is critical for any creative photographer or cinematographer. It affects mood, perspective, it affects foreground and background. The lens affects the quality of sharpness that you're seeing in the image or in the frame. It affects the quality of blurs. It even affects the quality of the contrast and the colors. But that's not all that a lens does. Lenses need to be used in all kinds of environments and conditions. Lenses have to brave the elements from cold to heat, from splashes and rain to dust and grime. Of course, good photographers and filmmakers treat their best optics with a lot of care. They treat the optics like gold. But lenses often need to withstand the conditions that professionals experience with their work. And professionals, of course, prefer lenses that can withstand all of this and produce brilliant results. 60 years ago, Sigma made its very first lens. The story of Sigma is a particularly interesting one. The birth of Sigma happened in an Edo era town in Japan called Aizu. Incidentally, this is also the land where the history of the samurai unfolded. If you remember the movie The Last Samurai, the story of that movie occurred in Aizu. This is a beautiful land that also makes some of Japan's best sake. It is made of people who are traditionally incredibly meticulous in whatever they do and take pride in the quality of their work. And this is visible in Sigma's lenses as well. I had the chance to visit Sigma's factory personally. Every single component of Sigma lenses and cameras are still made in this factory. From the lens elements to aperture blades to motors to the barrel, Sigma even has its own magnesium alloy engineering factory for the lens barrels. Here are some photographs that I would like to show you, made by me at the factory when I had visited there in 2019. At every point, I could see the attention to detail and the pride with which the work by these engineers and workers in the factory who are responsible for the lenses, you can actually see them pay that attention to detail. It is easy to see why Sigma lenses are so well made. This attention to detail is not really enforced, but rather taken as a serious responsibility by each individual at the factory. And the attention to detail is absolute. So can we have the video of the factory, please? These are still images, but put in the form of a video. In fact, if you actually notice that last frame that you just saw had the India's flag in front of Sigma's factory. So that was specially put up there when I had visited. And every Sigma lens is still made in its factory in Aizu. At the end of the session, there is a rather beautiful video showing Aizu and the Sigma factory that you must see. Soon after its inception, Sigma started making its presence felt in the world of lenses and cameras. Sigma has been innovating for photographers ever since, and especially so in the last 2 decades, where Sigma has moved from being a company that made affordable lenses and cameras to a company that makes premium, innovative, highly regarded optics. And not just for still photography, but for cinema as well. Ladies and gentlemen, today's session is all about optics and lenses. This is a part of a series of webinars in commemoration of Sigma's 60th year in production. We have had 4 webinars before this one on a variety of topics from street photography to portraiture and landscapes. If you have missed these and would still like to view these talks, the videos are available on Better Photography's Facebook page. So do take a look at them. On the occasion of Sigma's 60th anniversary, Sigma is also specially launching a photography contest, which is currently live, called the Sigma 60th Anniversary Commemorative Photography Awards. The entries to these awards are open, and there are 4 fun and engaging categories. These are art in nature and wildlife, emotions at weddings, classic portraiture, and finally, the decisive moment, which is all about street photography. There are some fabulous prizes to be won. The grand prize is Sigma FP, the smallest full-frame stills cine specialized camera in the world. Category winners and runner-ups get a big bunch of goodies: t-shirts, caps, masks, tea, and a digital subscription of Better Photography. Without any further ado, let me introduce today's session, which is all about Sigma lenses, optics, and particularly on E and L mount lenses available with Sigma, and some of the advantages of these lenses. To answer some of the questions that we have today, we have with us Kshitij Sheetak. Kshitij is a filmmaker and photographer for more than a decade, working on projects ranging from corporate films and documentaries to feature films. He also specializes in travel filmmaking. Kshitij runs a production house called The Good Karma Inc., which has been providing production and photography services to many small and big clients over the years. He also runs an institution named Shoot Guru that teaches photography and provides a strong platform to showcase work of students. Over the past few years, Kshitij has worked with some very traveler, the Apollo Group, Mahindra and Mahindra, Isuzu, Havels, Canon India, NDTV, TLC, Fox Life, etc. Apart from these, he produces independent projects. Some of his films, like Mystery Man, which was written and directed by Vibha Singh, have won awards at renowned film festivals. Like it has won awards like the Dada Saheb Phalke Award, and also at many international film festivals. In 2017, Kshitij and his team completed the production for a feature film called Narayan, which was released nationwide. Please, can we take a look at Kshitij's showreel, please? That's nice. Kshitij, thank you for joining us and welcome to this webinar. Can we have Kshitij also on screen, please? Okay, we seem to be having a little bit of problem with Kshitij's video, but don't worry, he'll join us in a couple of minutes. In the meanwhile, let me introduce you to our second guest for this evening, Mr. P. Suresh Kumar. Suresh is the technical and sales head for Sheetak Agencies Private Limited. He has 20 years of expertise in handling photographic equipment. He has excellent technical knowledge about Sigma products, having experienced Sigma as a brand for many years, and he shares his knowledge through workshops, webinars, and demo sessions across India. Suresh, thank you for being with us today. And before we get Kshitij also on board, let me ask you a quick question. So, since how long have you been with Sigma? How long have you been experiencing Sigma products? And if you were to describe Sigma's lenses in a few words, how would you describe Sigma lenses?
Yeah, I think Satish is back online. You want to take
Hey,
with Satish
Kshitij.
or you want?
Kshitij, thank you for joining us. Are you with us, or Kshitij's video appears to be frozen? So don't worry, Suresh. While Kshitij joins us, you can answer that question.
Yes, sir. See, I really started my photographic career in 2001. I joined Sheetak agencies. They used to do a lot of photographic related products. We started from the scratch, like a film camera, Samsung. And in 2005, I was introduced to Sigma products, the lenses. And then I started my journey with Sigma lenses and cameras. But I would say after the Sigma Global Vision in 2012, Sigma has moved to a different level in photographic sector, introducing new lenses which are really mind blowing. Especially for this session, what we are discussing about the importance of L-mount and Sony E-mount lenses. I love the DG lane lenses from Sigma released recent years. And thanks for having me in this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Suresh. Kshitij, are you with us now, and are you able to hear us
I
clearly?
think I
And
think I am. Sorry about that. Just bouncing internet, I think.
okay, Kshitij, you'll have to speak a little bit more loudly because the audio is a little low.
Okay. Am I more clear now?
Yes, you are. Thank you. Thank you. So, Kshitij, I wanted to ask you a question about, we saw your show reel and it was pretty spectacular. So, when did you find your love for photography and especially cinema? And when did you use your first Sigma lens? Can you talk about a little bit about your introduction to Sigma and what you thought about it back then and what you think about Sigma now?
So I started back in 2008. I'm an MBA marketing, but wanted to do something different in life. So thought of just picking up the camera and started shooting documentaries. My introduction to Sigma happened very differently. So I used to do weddings. So I was at a wedding shoot where one of my photographers got a Sigma art lens to shoot with, and my first Sigma lens was actually a 70-300 lens ages ago when I started photography. And when I got introduced to the Sigma art series back in the early days, and I used to think that they're only meant for photography, and I used it to do a video at that wedding. I finally realized that the quality of the glass is so fine that it can actually give me some really amazing images which other lenses could not. And plus, what I always love and say is that the quality with the kind of cost point you get with Sigma beats anything hands down, and which actually got me, hooked onto it and onto the lenses that Sigma would provide.
I completely agree with you, Kshitij. I had a similar experience with Sigma lenses. The first time that I used one of the art lenses, I was floored. So I was there when they announced the three lines of Sigma, but I think that's a question that I will actually ask, Suresh. So let me just say this to all the viewers. Viewers, if you're watching, whoever's watching, you are encouraged to ask questions via the comment section all you have to do is simply type out your question in the comment section, and the best questions will be asked to the panel and answered live. So once again, all you have to do is, if you have a question, type out your question in the comment section. The best questions will be asked and answered live. So Suresh, before we get to the specifically about the E and the L mount, so can you take us through a bit of the history of how Sigma came to be known as a maker of premium optics? How did the story really begin? Suresh, you're on mute. I'm sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry. The journey started in 1961 September, and we are celebrating the 60th anniversary in this month. Sigma also recently released two I-series lenses on 9th. So that was the day the journey started. And you won't believe, the very first product which came out from Sigma was the tele extender. And then they started releasing several type of lenses and cameras. But I would say Sigma started moving to the next level of lenses in 1984. Yes, in 1984 they released the first APO 200 to 500 f3.5 to 4.5, which uses two or more LCD glasses to correct the chromatic aberrations and other sort of aberrations more effectively. Sigma always thinks the relationship between the photographer and the photographer should be more dynamic, and they want the photographer get back to enjoyment always. The premium grade lenses, when you talk about the premium grade lenses, it started in 1998. Sigma 2870 f2.8 EX series was the first professional grade premium lens with wide open aperture released by Sigma in 1998. But after that, I would say, as I said earlier, after the introduction of after the announcement of the Sigma Global Vision in 2012, Sigma moved to the different level of premium lenses, the mind-blowing lenses, and they started lining up their product into contemporary arts and sports. Thank you.
So the arts, sports, and contemporary lenses are the three main lines of lenses of that Sigma has today. And I was there when this entire announcement was made in Germany. But tell us a little bit more about these three lines of lenses and also the various mounts that Sigma has.
See, the contemporary is basically the short and lightweight lenses, easy to carry. It's like a walk-around lens, and art series meant for artists. Like today we have Kshitij with us. So for the people like him, they always prefer art series, the premium quality, the premium touch of the lens. And sports lineup is meant for sports and wildlife because it's completely constructed in a way that it can withstand the climatic conditions. It's like it can support the dust and splash proof for some extent. And we have Canon EF mount, Nikon F mount, Sony E mount, and L mount. All this are available with contemporary arts and sports lineup. And we also have a few M mount and MFT mount lenses in contemporary lineup as well. Thank you.
So the basic philosophy is the philosophy of usage from contemporary, people who are looking for small light lenses, to sports who are looking for very rugged use of lenses, especially for sports and wildlife, and then the art series of lenses for use by especially for art photographers and people who want exceptional performance, optical performance. So Kshitij, you are an extensive Sony user, and can you just tell us about some of the Sigma lenses, especially in terms of lens lineups made for the Sony E mount?
So I'm actually kind of a multi-camera user recently because we've been working on different projects for different people, and Sony and Panasonic have been my primary cameras that I've been working with. So the L mount and the E mount are something like E mount it is because when I started shooting cinema, and so at that time the A7S was something that low light was really good for, and gave us an opportunity to shoot very good videos and films using those cameras at that point in time. on a full frame camera with a small form factor. And the E-mount lens series from Sigma really gave us the variety we needed in terms of using the full potential that a Sony camera would give. Because what happens is when you use third-party lenses, usually you miss out on the features that your camera is built in for and the native features that your camera gives you. But with the E-mount, what I have felt is that the Sigma lenses are built in a way where they work really brilliantly on the camera bodies. And especially recently, I've used it on the S700 and of course the S3 also. A7S3, and the performance, the focus performance is mind-blowingly amazing. Not only in photography with the A7S3, but also in the video, because that is what we miss when we use third-party lenses. But Sigma gave us the opportunity to utilize the full potential of the native features of the camera series and come out with the full, very high quality content as well.
So, Kshitij, so basically, one of the biggest things about, especially what we're talking about Sony cameras, the one of the biggest features that actually they brought out was the IAF.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So IAF is one of the most standout features of Sony cameras. So which what are these focusing modes, and especially with Sony E mount, and how compatible are Sigma E mount lenses with these focusing modes? It's one of those questions, quintessential questions that everybody
So
asks.
yeah, and so recently we got an opportunity to kind of shoot wildlife, and with the IEF, what the benefit we got was, as soon as it would detect any living being, the focus automatically catches onto the eye, the retina, basically. And I know that this is a question with all photographers and filmmakers, where they feel that third-party lenses don't utilize the speed of the focus that the cameras are built for. But with Sigma, I have not felt that at all. Utilizing the lens technology and the speed at which the focusing modes work, even the continuous mode and of course the eye detection mode is brilliant. It's very beautifully incorporated in a way wherein you don't even lose focus when there is high contrast or low contrast areas, and if your subject is merging into the background. At most of the times when you shoot wildlife, where I recently use them, you don't get an opportunity to get a very clear focus on the eyes. But with the technology now and the compatibility between the Sigma lenses and the Sony series, we got really good results, even in situations where the subjects were moving a lot.
So you mentioned, Kshitij, you mentioned video as well as
Yeah.
still photography as well as video, and especially as a filmmaker, I think the focus related issues with lenses, especially when you are doing video, is something that most filmmakers are very aware of, and are very concerned about. So what would you say about Sigma lenses, especially the E-mount lenses, when it comes to stills and video? Would you say that the same thing applies with video as well?
See, usually it is different. Stills are more, they're an instant connect. Like when it comes to focus, you get your focus, you take your click, and you move ahead. But with video, you need a continuous, eye on what you are focusing on, and especially if you're shooting on larger apertures, you have a tendency of losing focus. So I, I there are issues, and there are at times benefits also of the features that the cameras are giving you. But if your lenses are not as fast, they rarely kind of keep up. But with Sigma, what I felt, especially when I was using the 85 was that even at a larger aperture, because I would shoot at 1.8 or even at f2, I would still be able to maintain a very beautiful sharpness during video, because your subjects have a tendency of moving front and back. That is where you really lose the focus. So shooting a step down, you like helps us. But with Sigma, the autofocus tracking works brilliantly, and we have been able to get very beautiful results, even when in action situations, like especially when we were in Panna National Park, we were shooting with like animals on the run, and we had these nilgai. Who were like running through the jungle, and I was amazed to at what speed the focus could maintain on the subject in those situations as well.
So, what lenses? There's of course this is a follow up question to what I just spoke about. What lenses in particular would you recommend uh, photographers and filmmakers, especially when it comes to focusing speed?
So I personally like I'm old school when it comes to filmmaking. So I love primes, and but I feel that the Sigma Art series with the prime lenses that it's coming up with, and my personal favorite has become the 85 and Suresh knows about it because I'm not, sending it back to them. I love it much. And I've recommended it to so many people, be it wedding photographers, be it documentary filmmakers, that those kind of lenses, your primary prime lenses with larger apertures for cinema, give you the opportunity to shoot in low light and yet maintain your focus points. And of course, the speed at which these lenses really work give you the best quality and amazing bokeh in the backgrounds, which you need to create those cinematic films, even using smaller cameras that are available in the market right now. Because that was always the fight between cinema cameras and DSLRs or mirrorless cameras now, that that people used to say we shoot only cinema cameras because of the beautiful bokeh and the dynamic range and all that. But with these fast lenses available and the prime lenses that are available, like the f1.2 or the f1.4 lenses that are there, they give you the opportunity to shoot at f2 or f2.8, which gives you again another opportunity to really get beautiful bokeh in the background in whatever situation you're in.
Kshitij, let's talk about a little about the L mount.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to ask you a question regarding, you spoke about the cinematic effect or the cinematic look. Okay, but we'll come to that a bit later. I just want to bring the our attention to the L mount. The This is now a mount with some interesting history. In fact, the L mount is actually used by more than one camera company.
Yeah.
So, Kshitij, could you tell us? And you've used these cameras, so could you tell us a little bit about this?
So my primary cameras these days are the L-mount cameras or the Micro Four Third cameras from Lumix. Um, when the Elmont first came out, so we I first tested with the S3, sorry, the Leica camera, the Leica full frame camera, which kind of opened my eyes and to a whole new world of quality what Leica's legacy brought with it. And when they moved it towards Lumix coming up with the L mount, where now you could use Leica L series lenses onto the L mount on Lumix cameras, the game totally changed. But those were really meant for photography. Those were really meant for even they were good at shooting video, but we were still struggling with the range of lenses that were coming in. But when Sigma started launching their lenses for the L mount, that is when my game completely changed, because I was using kit lenses before that, or even native lenses, and now with a third party lens with a larger aperture, with some amazing build quality, which was really, really good, and built on a technology that has a history attached to it of great sharpness, great color renditions, and of course, the speed at which these lenses really, really work, the technology that really works, gave us an opportunity to utilize the same lens in different situations. And that is what I feel the L mount brings with it. For example, I've been using it on the S1H, which is the Netflix series of cameras from Lumix. And we have been using Sigma lenses. I did not even feel the need to move towards a cinema lens, which would have costed me way more than what a Sigma Art does. And the quality we could actually compare very, very easily. And at the same time, the S5 that I use for a very, very regular on the run and gun shoot and everything that I have, the Sigma lenses work brilliantly in all situations. Either I'm taking pictures or I'm shooting video at the same time, especially travel films that I do. The build quality with the weight ratios and the weight balances, and plus the speed at which the lenses work helps out a lot with the technology that these cameras are running.
So the L mount is actually the most recent mount in the world that was actually introduced. It was introduced, I think, about 4 years back, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, Suresh, am I right? Was it introduced 4 years ago?
4 years.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So 4 years since the L mount has been introduced, but the adopters, of course, it was a mount that was jointly released by Sigma, Panasonic, and Leica. So which means Sigma, Panasonic, Leica cameras all use the L mount, and they all manufacture lenses for the L mount. Um, and Sigma, of course, has was one of the companies that actually developed the L mount. So what are the biggest benefits of the L mount? So let me just put this question in two different ways. So the L mount is used by three companies, which is an immediate benefit on its own. But what are the biggest benefits of the L mount, especially if you want to compare it with, let's say, the E mount?
Suresh, you want to answer it or should I? Because I use both and
No,
I
no,
can
I
tell
think
the difference.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
Since I use
You
both,
can take this call. You can take this call.
yeah, so since I use both, and in different situations we've used different cameras. And then recently we had to shoot very high speed, so we had to go for the F700. We did not have a choice over there. But what I felt is that the glass quality and the I would say the bokeh that you get with the L series lenses, and especially the Sigma L series lenses, is actually comparable to any PL mount lens in the market, which is, I think, at least 4 or 5 times the cost of what an L series lens would ideally cost me. And especially with the kind of build quality and the glass quality that you get with the Sigma lenses. And again, I would go back to my personal favorite, which is the 85 in terms of the quality and the image separation between your foreground and your background. um, I would only see that in cinema lenses before, but now I see that in the Sigma Art series very clearly, because switching from photography to film and then getting all the quality of a like a photography lens, and adding the settings onto it, wherein your focus works better, you have continuous focusing modes, the focus locks better, it has better fast reading, it has better color definition, and of course creates greater shallower depth of field. uh, Gave us the opportunity to shoot cinema with smaller form factors. And when we actually compared it to cinema cameras which are used on the same shoot, people could not tell the difference at all. And what I personally feel, what the collaboration of Leica, Panasonic, and Sigma got onto stage was the art series was already very beautiful. It had beautiful bokeh that it created. It had a technology of great focusing, and then Leica had this ethos and legacy of creating some of the best glass in the world, which had beautiful sharpness. I mean, you could actually make the difference between the focus on the nose to the eyes to the eyelashes. It was that great. And then the technology that Panasonic got on board in terms of shooting video, which now changed the game for a cinematographer, because we were always stuck with photography lenses not being so focus friendly, and now we have these photography lenses that work like cinema lenses do. So you have your manual aperture rings on it. You have those aperture rings have lock apertures and smooth flowing aperture, so I can actually increase or decrease aperture without having jumps in the aperture. So that wasn't there before photography lenses would mean that you're stuck with jumps in your apertures, and now you are like, you can cinematically close or open your aperture without ruining your footage during a shot. So that is what a cinematographer would look for, and this new technology got us that. So that is what I personally feel benefits a photographer who's also a cinematographer, or a cinematographer who usually never worked with photography lenses, can now actually get that quality from photography lenses what they wanted in the beginning, to begin with, when the DSLR era of shooting cinema came.
In fact, Kshitij, in fact, in your show reel, I noticed that you were using Cine lenses, and
Yes.
you also use Cine lenses. So where is it that you feel that the L series? Of course, you just mentioned the biggest benefit being that now the smaller form factor, and that now photographic lenses that can actually do what Cine lenses used to be able to do, and it is now possible to do that with photographic lenses, and that's a huge advantage because primarily of the cost factor. But where do you use cine lenses today?
See, the reason we have been using cine lenses is because of the fact that the manual focus when it comes to cinema works very well when you have these very high-end T-stop lenses which are meant for precision. But what the L series now got us was precision in terms of the aperture and precision in focus, wherein if you're manually using focus on the camera which you're using, you can actually stop it very, very close intervals and very very like short focus points without losing the quality of the image. And at the same time, people use cine lenses because of the shallow depth of field that you get, and that photography lenses were already doing. Sigma art lenses came out better with better bokehs, better color renditions, better color separations between the foreground and the background. And with the L series, what we felt is the sharpness which we as cinematographers were looking for in photography lenses and could not find very easily, came into action with the kind of glass and of course the kind of ways how flares are managed, which look very beautiful when you're shooting against the sun with some backlight, and utilizing contrast and highlights to shadow areas very well. So you get to use the full dynamic range of the cameras that you're using if the lenses work very well.
So Suresh, this is a question for you. Which are the Sigma lens lineups made particularly for the L mount? Can you just talk about some of the Sigma lenses, especially the lineups of lenses for the L mount?
Yeah, I can show a small screen. Can you able to see my slides?
Yes,
Hello?
it's visible.
Yes,
Yes,
it's visible now. Sigma totally has 29 lenses in L mount. Most of them must not be aware of this categories. So not only in wide, it covers the full range. Wide, telephoto lens, we have standard, we have macro, we have eye premium wide open aperture lenses, starts from 14 to 135, 10 lenses, and we have the 1424 and 2470. We have grouped in all the categories. It's not only in art series, we have grouped in all contemporary and sports version as well. So totally we have 17 lenses. If you can see here, it starts from 1424, 2470, and it goes the telephoto lens with 135 in art series. So when you're coming to the contemporary versions, we have 11 lenses. You can see the bottom 19 It has been 19 and 24. It shows new. It's the new release of Sigma on their 60th anniversary on September 9th. I would recommend Mr. Kshitij to try out these lenses because he is really interested in manual aperture, to have a manual aperture while he's filming. So these lenses are mainly released for the filmmaking and very compact and lightweight. And we also have introduced the new one, the sports version. We included one more in sports version for both Sony and L mount. It's 150-600, the telephoto lens, the lightweight. It's 2 kg, which is equivalent to the contemporary version of Canon and Nikon. So it's completely a weather shield. It can withstand the dust and splash proof is applied into this. So I like to try out, I request to try this lens with Kshitij. Thanks.
Suresh,
all of these lenses available in the lens mount. Is that right, Suresh?
Yes. All these lenses are available.
Let me also ask you a little bit about, because we've spoken about optical quality quite a bit now. Kshitij has also spoken about optical quality, which Sigma is known for, especially the art series. So how does Sigma actually develop the lenses with this level of optical quality? What goes into it? And also tell us a little bit on how Sigma tests its own lenses.
I think for this, better we can see the constructions of the masterpiece from Sigma, the first lens, 35mm 1.4. So I would like to show it in the presentation.
I very much remember this lens, the first lens that was released, 35mm 1.4. Yes. And then immediately after this lens was released, there was a 50mm 1.4. Both these lenses were stunning lenses.
So this was the flagship lens for our art series lineup with the first wide open aperture with the f1.4. which really interesting one for the art series. So we can you able to see the screen? It's that
Yes,
visible?
it's visible. Yes, visible
Yes.
now.
The important part to achieve best optical performance in art lineup is we use large aspherical elements along with FLD and SLD glasses. In this image, you can see how we have grouped the elements. Actually, this lens use 13 element and we have placed in 11 groups. That yellow, can you able to see that yellow glass we called as FLD, and the pink
Yes.
ones is the SLD glasses. It's a special low dispersion glass, and the the blue colors, four blue colors are SLD glass, and the two pinks are aspherical lenses. So putting a large aspherical lens in the first series of the lens makes slim barrel possible. That means the front opening will be bigger. Okay, it allows more light to enter to the lens. And we use FLD glasses. FLD is nothing but fluoride. It's a chemical actually. It's a mineral. Fluoride is the ideal mineral for correcting chromatic aberrations. It's really lighter than comparing to the traditional optical glasses. So, and we also use 4 LCD glass to minimize the chromatic aberration in this construction. So each and every lenses which comes out from Sigma, or the art series lineup which comes out from Sigma, we used to add this 3 combination of optics, which helps to meet the light in a single point of view, and which reduce or which minimize the chromatic aberration and other aberration corrections to give the best performance, best output, I can say. Like what Kshitij said, the background bokeh in the open daylight, we don't have any ghost effect, distortions. All these are controlled with this grouping of lenses, with this 3 elements called FLD, SLD, and aspherical lenses. And all our lenses are tested with this MFT measuring system called A1. So it's a modulation transfer function. We call it as modulation transfer function. We use 46 megapixels foveon sensor to which used to test all the lenses before it shipped from the factory. So not random. We used to check all the lenses with this 46 megapixels foveon sensor.
Fantastic. So I've used foveon sensor cameras before, and I know the kind of resolving power that these sensors actually have. And yes, and if the lenses can resolve onto a 46 million pixel foveon sensor, then that is especially something. Another question, so Sigma, something that Sigma has also spoken about in the past, but something that is actually not known to a lot of people is also that Sigma continues to make all its lens mounts from brass. So can you tell us a bit about this, Suresh?
Yes, the brass made bay mount has both high accuracy and solidity. Same as the mount of the camera body. The camera body, it's more rugged, it's more durable. So we want the lens to be more solid, and we want to be more accuracy. So we use brass. The special treatment to reinforce the strength is applied on the surface to make it high quality lens that is resistant for a long term use. So Sigma maintained this standard for all their lenses, but most of them are not aware of this point. Due to the wear and tear, the distance between the sensor and the last element, the flange distance we called, it may sometimes get disturbed. So for that, we used to do calibrations for all digital lenses. Autofocus lenses, basically you can connect with the USB dock, and we can do the focus adjustment. Like we can do the front, if it has a problem with the front or back focus, easily we can sort out and we can clear it off using the USB docks, which has been released by Sigma. And but when you are going for the cine style of lenses, for example, if you are using the PL lenses onto the cinema cameras like Red or Arri, due to the wear and tear, if there is a deviation, we can't use the docking system to calibrate it. So we use shim. So to come out of all this, we use brass. As I told you, it's more accurate and it's more durable. Yes.
And Sigma also, recently set up its own magnesium alloy engineering factory. And what are some of the advanced materials that goes into the making of a Sigma lens? Apart from, of course, magnesium alloy is like one of the primary materials for lightweight but rugged barrels. But what are some of the other materials that go into the making of a Sigma lens?
For this, I would like to show a picture that easily we can able to understand why we use magnesium alloy and other components. Are you able to see this?
Yes, it's on
Yes.
screen now.
Yeah. Generally, the use of metals such as aluminum parts in the lens poses a challenge, and it makes the product too heavy and therefore difficult to handle. We all know about this. So Sigma has taken this into consideration and adapted the use of magnesium parts processed in-house. That means on their own factory. For the first time, this magnesium parts has been used with our new 6600 sports lineup released last year. But by this process, the lens achieves lightweight while being tough and durable to ensure lens performance. The Sigma 6000, what you're seeing there, it's a construction of Sigma 6600. Sports incorporate multi-materials such as magnesium, CFRP. CFRP is nothing but carbon fiber reinforced plastic, a light but strong material used in the interior and exterior fittings of aircraft, among many other applications. And TSE, a thermal stable composite, it's highly elastic and exhibit minimal deformation. So we use this three combination of materials to build up all our lenses. The use of these superior materials in the right place reduce the weight of overall lens to enhance portability and ensure durability. I would say the barrel units, shims, the Irish, the lens hood are some of the key products come out from this magnesium engineering factory. And I also like to show a small video to the viewers. So our recent lineup about the I series, which was completely made up of magnesium parts, even the hood, the lens hood is also made up of a magnesium part. We want to have some lightweight lenses to the videographers, basically. So it will be more portable for them to easily carry, to travel, to climb. It should be more comfortable. It's all I series lenses come with a manual aperture ring, and it's completely made of metal. But it's as we are talking about, magnesium makes this more lighter. And when you are using this TSE, sorry to say that, forgot to say that the importance of TSE. TSE is like something plastic. It's like a thermal resistant due to temperature.
Thermally stable plastic.
Yeah, thermal stable plastic. Normally, when you are going to the thermal conditions, sometimes the body may expand and the inner focus optics can rotate and change the focus, and it may shift the focus. To avoid that, we use all these three parts, and we are giving the best from our factory, from the Sigma. So I would request Nitin to play us the video, I-series video for viewers.
I-Series debut. I-Series. Explore more.
Fantastic. Well, these are lenses are entirely made up of magnesium alloy, and including the lens hood, and you can actually feel the quality of these when you have it in your hand, and it's surprisingly light. So I've used some of these lenses in the past, and I can easily vouch for how beautifully light. I mean, that was what came as a shocker, because of how light, and yet the quality of the optics was so high. Because usually when we talk about many lenses, the heavier lenses, like with bigger glass, that's what usually professionals go for, because it sort of talks about optical quality. But these lenses actually break that one rule. These are light lenses. So these lenses are primarily meant for mirrorless cameras, isn't it, Suresh?
Yes, yes.
And they allow
That-
these cameras to, uh, for example, the Sigma FP and the FPL, which happens to be the smallest full frame um, still cine specialized camera in the world. It goes beautifully well with the FP and the FPL.
The reason for having our own in-house magnesium alloy engineering factory is because the industry is moving towards the lightweight cameras. So we want to have some lightweight lenses to the photographers as well as for the videographers. So that's our main motive, to give the lightweight lens, but not compromising with the optics.
So Suresh, one more question that I have for you, and after that, Kshitij, I know that you've been waiting very patiently, but these are questions that come one after the other, follow one after the other. You mentioned, Suresh, you mentioned the USB dock for calibration, and
Yes.
but it's not just for calibration; it's also for software updates. It is also in fact, you can even change certain features of the lens. So, can you quickly tell us a little bit about the USB dock?
Yeah, if you can give me a few seconds, I can open a small slide presentation for that, so it will be more interesting. Let me see whether I have that presentation with me.
And the USB dock is also very
Yes,
unique,
yes,
isn't it, to Sigma? Because I haven't come across something like this from other manufacturers.
yes. This is the unique product, but I think recently some brand are released, but there is a limitations. Only few lenses can be used, but our USB dock can be used for all lineups like art series, contemporary, and sports. Can you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So this is the way which we normally used to connect the USB dock with the lenses. So as Madhavan sir told, this is not only meant to calibrate the lens. So when you are connecting this lens, you can find the complete history of the lens and what is the firmware has been included when you are purchasing it. What is the current firmware in the lens, and seeing that if something has been released in future, you can easily update with this USB dock. This can be easily connected. On the left hand side, you can see it shows what is the lens it has been connected with, and the yellow part shows the what is the firmware has been updated with this lens. And customization, it's mainly used to adjust the autofocus system and the OS system of these lenses. The OS means when you are going with 150 600 or 70 200 something like that, the telephoto lenses, you can customize your optical stabilization as well. So this is the way. So when you are connecting it, it gives the detail about the firmware update, whether it's available or not. If the firmware is available, you can give yes, automatically it will be get connected and it will be updated. So this is the scale where you can calibrate your lens on your own. So there is no need for carrying these lenses to the service station if you have some issues with this. Normally when pixels get to increase, when pixels we came with 24 megapixels, 60 megapixels, we can clearly able to point out the focusing deviation in our lens. Basically when you are taking an eye shot or something very close, and when you are taking a picture with the spotlight, now we can easily identify due to the pixels. We are blowing up our images to a large size, so we can easily find out whether it's a front focus or a back focus. So in all cameras, in recent cameras, we have micro focus adjustment on the body. But we Sigma recommend not to change any or not to do any calibration on the body. Instead of that, we are pairing our lenses according to the camera. So if there is an issue, if there is a front focus or a back focus issue with when you are pairing with some bodies with our Sigma lenses, you can have this USB dock and calibrate it yourself. If it is a front focus, we need to bring it minus. If it is a back focus, we need to do it plus. So this is the scale what you see here. So each and every lens has different metering. In this calibration is done for 120 to 300. So you can see we have 4 focal length: 120 mm, 150 mm, 200 mm, and 300 mm. And we can calibrate in different level of focusing distance. So with the, as I told you, with the sports lens or the contemporary version with the telephoto lens, we can customize our settings as well. This for the 35 mm. So now you can see it's -5. If it is -5, Madan sir, if it is -5, it is a front focus or a back focus?
-5 will be back focus, isn't it?
Minus means back focus. So
Back focus.
from no, when you are moving from back focus, as you said, minus is the back focus. Where if it is front focus, the reading should be in plus.
Correct.
And this is the customization C1 and C2. This generally you can see in all our telephoto lenses like 150-600, 70-200, and 60-600. So you can customize your AF speed, and you can set your focus limiter. That means you can set your focus limit from 10 feet, 20 feet, according to your shoot. If you're going for a wildlife, you can set your focus. Yes. And OS is also one more interesting part. You can increase the speed. This is the way normally used to this. You can see this motor drive, standard, focus accuracy. All these options can be done with all our Fords lineup. And this, the second point, focus limiter setting. So you can set your focus so that it won't hunt when you're going for the. Normally, when you take a lens and go for an outdoor shoot, it gives priority to the lighting area. If your subject is only at 10 feet, if you're going to shoot only subjects at 10 feet, you can set it at 10 feet so that it won't give priority to the lighting area or the background. So immediately you can get your shots. And this OS mode, dynamic, standard, and moderate. The moderate offers the recognizable OS effect to image in the viewfinder when it's difficult to hold the camera steady. It helps to ensure composition of the image quickly. So these are some points which you can see the video later. And for moderate is important for the landscape, still, and video shoots. Basically, for people like Kshitij, I would recommend them to choose the moderate view. And this USB dock can be used to calibrate the teleconverter as well. Not only the lens, this can be used to update the firmware on the teleconverter and adjust it. That's all about our USB dock. Thanks.
So as and when camera models change also, and as firmware gets upgraded, depending on the camera model, especially E series, L series, the adjustments can be made directly without coming to a service center. Isn't that right?
Yes.
That is
Normally, when you're, I don't want to mention the names. With other brands, you need to go to the service center to calibrate the lenses. But in Sigma, we provide the USB dock, which is very cheap, but it can do a lot of works which an engineer can do.
okay. That's fantastic. Finally, coming to you, Kshitij, I have two, before we end the session, I have two very, very important questions, questions that I've been wanting to ask for a while, actually. Because earlier you mentioned the cinematic effect. You mentioned how the quality of a lens affects video, especially with video. So tell us a bit more about this and the advantages that Sigma has when it comes to video. You mentioned specifically also about frame rates and how a lens affects frame rates. So tell us a little bit more about this.
See, what I felt over the years that if you don't have the correct lenses, you will not get the correct, framing or the compositions that you require for any shot that you want to do. Because in terms of film, in terms of video, you can't really go back and crop your image, or you can't really go back and reframe and reformat. Even if you shoot 8K, you will still, be able to crop in a little bit, not too much. And not everybody has the technology to shoot 8K, 6K, or 4K for that matter. And a lot of us only shoot HD. So what I felt is that the right combination of lenses, be it the prime fast lenses to the the sports lenses where you have telephoto ranges happening, we get an opportunity with Sigma to have the amazing quality of glass through and throughout. It does not, matter what lens you're buying. The quality remains the same. Only your focal length will change. Only your apertures will change, and which gives us, as filmmakers, an opportunity to maintain the standard of quality through and throughout any shot that we're taking. And also another thing is uh, that if you have faster lenses, if you have f1.4 available to you, or an f1.2 available to you, any of those faster lenses that are available to you gives us the opportunity to shoot at larger apertures in terms of when we talk about cinema and video, which gives us very, very beautiful bokeh in any situation. And what I love is another thing, that the diameter of the lenses that are there, the rings that you can put on them, the filters that you can put on them is so universal, that you don't need special adapters, you don't need special kind of modifiers to actually add ND filters or even other filters to your lenses, and still get really amazing image quality.
And that's a big thing. I think that's a very big thing, especially for filmmakers, to be able to add different kinds of filters and to do it inexpensively.
Yeah.
I think that's a big advantage for filmmakers. Uh, Talking about filtering, you also mentioned earlier about color science. When we were speaking yesterday, you mentioned color science as an extremely critical aspect for filmmakers, as well as for photographers as well. So, can you tell us a little bit more about how Sigma lenses helps with colors?
So with colors, what I felt is that since we're shooting log and we're shooting, raw color profiles where we need to utilize the dynamic range of the camera, at the same time also utilize the quality of the colors that we're receiving, so that in post production we don't have to really work too much. The 1:1, what we get, we get the red as red, the green as green, and the blue as blue. We get an opportunity with Sigma lenses is that in post production there are no tints, there are no aberrations in terms of colors being left out or contrast being lost, and the highlight to shadow ratio is so beautifully put together, especially the Sigma Art series, because the lenses are meant to shoot portraits, and portraits are human beings, and human colors are something which we end up getting very well as well. So Sigma has been able to do that very well.
Kshitij, thank you so much. That was my last question for this evening. To all the viewers, I know that we are overstepping our time limit a little
Thank you
bit,
so
but
much.
please bear with us. Thank you to both Kshitij, Sheetak, and P. Suresh Kumar for answering all the questions. This brings us to the conclusion of this session. But please do note, our last webinar in this series celebrating Sigma's 60th anniversary is on the 30th of September. Coming up on the 30th of September, Nishant Gala will be talking about cinematography using the Sigma FP. That's on 30th September at 6 to 7 p.m. again. With that, I would also like to remind all the viewers that the Sigma 60th Anniversary Commemorative Photography Awards are open for entries, so please do participate. There you have it on the screen. Entries are accepted in 4 categories: art in nature and wildlife, emotions at weddings, classic portraiture, and the decisive moment of street photography. And there are exciting prizes to be won. Of course, the most exciting prize is the grand prize, which is the smallest full frame stills and cine camera in the world, which is the Sigma FP. I would like to end our session with a particularly beautifully made video, especially for those of you who love looking at beautiful landscapes. This is chapter 2 of Sigma Aizu, the place where Sigma was born. Those were views of Aizu, and when you are from a place where nature is all around you and you can appreciate nature, I think automatically that makes you very careful and very meticulous. And just like all the people who work at Sigma's factory in Aizu, and the meticulousness comes out. Nature is very delicate. Nature is very meticulous, and nature is also very unforgiving in that sense. So that's where Sigma lenses are made. Huge, hearty, happy 60th anniversary to Sigma, and a very big thank you to our panelists, Kshitij, Sheetak, and P. Suresh Kumar. Thank you for joining us here, Suresh. And to
Thank you.
all
Thank
of
you,
you
sir.
viewers, thank you. And to all of you viewers for tuning in, have a wonderful evening ahead.